Hi everyone, it's Glenda with Fralins and Friends. So please do, if you are new, please feel free to subscribe and click that notifications bell. We'd appreciate a like, a little thumbs up. And tonight I am going to be working more on the painting for the Flint Hills, but I will be dubbing my voice over it instead of actually talking through. I might do talking, but I have got a write-up that I did yesterday about some things about those Flint Hills, and I think you're going to find them really enchanting and historically interesting. So I am going to put you back on the shelf and give you a good angle here. Okay. Last time I ran out of my memory card ran out, or can't think of the name of it right now, but I had started the river. I'm going to go back in here and start some rocks. Okay, first I'm going to read this that I have prepared, and I hope you find it interesting. Then we'll discuss the painting. Native Americans from the Kansa tribe, that's a Kansa tribe, were known to have used many arrowheads made from the flint and the Flint Hills. Pioneers traveling through or looking to settle in the area crossed the Big Blue River, often by ferry. For years, rockhounds scoured the Flint Hills near our home for arrowheads and other possible artifacts like stone, mortar, and pestles made of the limestone in the area. Of course, they had permission. Occasionally, we'd find a geode. We lived under those Flint Hills. Well, a lot of people did, but ours was very special. Ponds for fishing, creeks for catching tadpoles, frogs, and toads. Not to mention splashing for the fun of it, and a nice cool down on a hot day. We lived in the valley at the bottom of the hills. The Big Blue River is only a few hundred feet to the east. From a good vantage point, we could see farms around across the river. We knew that travelers heading west did pass there. Alcove Springs, a few miles east, was a stopping place as one of their members lay sick and died. She was buried and now has a memorial of her about her at the springs. They crossed the Big Blue River, which is well documented, and no more than 30 years ago, some grave markers were found among some trees and brush north of our house. And wow, that went by fast, and I thought I would hold a little more time on that. But yes, and I'm trying to, on these stones, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to show the limestone with the flint in them. I've realized, though, that I need to cut that hill back so it doesn't look like a sheared off cliff, because it's not. It was not. I just was rolling the hills. But, and the stones are pretty big. I could make them, but there are really big flat stones. The top is flat. They're buried under, the ground, so you don't know just how deep they go. But there are some really nice flat stones up there, and some of them maybe don't go deep into the ground at all. And fact, my aunt said that she used to have to get a get one of the stones, not the big ones, that she always had to pick up, go down and find a good stone and send it to a friend that they had known growing up and send it to them where they lived out in Washington, I think, Washington State. So it was pretty nice. I mean, not everything was great all the time, but there really was a lot that we enjoyed. And we did have, now there's a, it's not shown here, there is a place down there where the creek runs over a small, well, it has a pool there, it'll pool. And when it gets, that's too full, it will flow over this kind of a rock, very clean rock, um, creek bed. And then there's a very small waterfall. I don't think it's probably more than 2 or 3 feet. And then it just pools in one big pool. And it's just fun, yeah, especially for kids. I mean, I've got pictures of my some of my grandkids just when they were small yet, and they were really enchanted by that one. Just stand there and just stare into it. But yes, and I think I need to probably do some more speeding up because I've got a lot to get through here. So if you'll pardon me a minute, I'm going to find a spot to start speeding this up a little. I will get back at another time and make things a little more to the right size, but it's not too terribly far off. But the Kansa tribe, I don't know what happened to them. I really don't. I'd need to look up more. I know there's a Sac and Fox reservation on in Kansas. It's much farther east than this, but I really just don't know for the Kansa tribe who used to use these areas. I don't know what happened to that tribe. Anyway, it may have been part of another tribe, tribal organization like the I don't know, was it the Cheyenne or the Cherokee? I think it was the Cherokee. Anyway, but I am going to try to show the fact that we did have more trees. What we had a glutton of was cedar trees. We had cedars. In fact, our grandfather would spend, he would give us a penny per sapling that we would cut down because it we needed it for grazing, and sometimes those cedars could just take over. I don't know if you've ever really seen a cedar hedge that someone will plant around their house and stuff. That is how dense these cedars can get. And so we did kind of have to keep them under, to keep them kind of taken care of. So, but I'm going to be putting in a road and I'm going to be doing the sky. But I'm not going to be finishing this tonight, and I know I'm going to be changing some things. But I think for now, through the end of it, hopefully you'll be able to tell where I paint the wheat field, where the house goes. Yes, I've added some more height to that hill. But anyway, the hopefully we'll be able to tell where things are. I definitely will be made some changes later on. Thank you for listening and watching, and please continue. I did find out some information about the Kansa tribe. They're also called the Kaw tribe. They were relocated forcibly out of Kansas and into Oklahoma. And they were then again moved in order to make the Kaw River. Now, I don't know exactly where that is. I'd have to look up it on a map. But they have finally been reconstituted, or they were earlier, back in like 1959. They were reconstituted. What that means, I suppose, is that they were recognized by the government and given their land that they had there in Oklahoma. So, what that exactly means, I'm not sure. I got kind of a short answer, but the history would be a lot to go through. But yes, in the 1800s, they were relocated outside of their tribal lands, which used to be where we grew up, right there in Kansas. It would have been, I don't know, nice to go down and visit them and say, hey, we took over your land, I'm sorry. But we didn't. Way back in the 1800s, somebody else did. So, anyway, right now, you see, I am expanding this wheat field because I wanted to get, I want to finish that corner off. Wheat is one of the most noted um, in Kansas. We used to grow a lot more wheat and milo, but a lot of it has gone to corn because of changes in climate, and corn is a much more uh, hardy. It's a hardy crop. But wheat generally is harvested somewhere in June, around that time, because that's when it's dried up enough and grown well, depending on the weather. I mean, everything for a farm depends on weather and conditions, and even with your livestock. Because if we, when we had a lot of livestock, we grew a lot of milo, and they ate a lot of milo and hay and that kind of stuff. The hogs mainly ate the milo. We didn't give that to the cattle. But anyway, yes, it was a very, um, it was an interesting place, but also a fun place to grow up. I'm going to give you some more music.